And at the core of this education model, it teaches the student precisely how to think for themselves. Graduates of this model of education, either at the level of the trivium or both the trivium and the quadrivium, learn a systematic approach to learning any subject in half the time it would take anyone else. The reason this is such a powerful model of education is because it first begins with training the mind, or the inner dimensions of one's being, which is in keeping with the wisest advice given in all of Western civilization from the oracle at Delphi. And of course, that advice, that Delphic maxim, is know thyself. Only after one is given the key from which to unlock self-knowledge appropriately and mastery of one's inner faculties will they truly be ready to explore and understand the realm of the outer world at the deepest level as well. Saving the part about the magic circle for last, notice the 4 men at the bottom of this image. The men are outside of this sacred circle and are indeed outcasts, not students or scholars of the 7 liberal arts, but rather they are peripherally benefiting from these teachings, but they have been corrupted by evil spirits, hence the black birds at the ear of each of these men. These men are poets, magicians, and the like, who instead of paying tribute to God through their works, are involved in what the church would consider the corruptions of secular, misguided, and even demonic pursuits. But of course, even the rogue poet or the magician may truly and in earnest learn the trivium or all of the 7 liberal arts and develop their mind quite powerfully indeed. It is also possible to intuitively learn these steps yourself. However, formally learning the trivium makes it so much easier. And while I'm not claiming that the halo of the sun has anything to do with the 7 liberal arts, or that Team Silent purposefully incorporated elements of the trivium into the magical rituals Heather is about to perform, what I am saying is that it is hard to deny the relationship that the wisdom traditions of philosophy have to both religion and magic. A relationship which religions of the West often deny, of course, and much to their annoyance, the obvious overlaps between the roots of these traditions are most certainly related in ways that only serious biblical scholars and students of the occult would understand. So it seems that the religious order of Silent Hill possesses a certain unsettling amalgam of a religious cult with its own delusions of piety paired with shadowy and nefarious ritual magic. In a sense, a blending of man and monster, as is, of course, a well-known theme of this game. And a few final notes about the 7 liberal arts. It's well known that Plato studied in Egypt for well over a decade of his life, as well as countless other ancient Greek philosophers. It has been said that the 7 liberal arts were derived from the mystery schools of ancient Egypt, which was world-renowned as a place of culture which curated great wisdom from around the world, as well as having the first known proto-university in human history. So it should be recognized that the legacy of the 7 liberal arts can be shown to extend beyond Western civilization itself and deep into the roots of the Middle to Far East. However, I wouldn't necessarily consider wisdom something that could be stolen, such as this book here or this audiobook, as it's something that should be shared, but it is only recognized by those whom are ready to receive it. So it's not as if many people can just recognize it, absorb it, and actually put it into practice in their lives, right? So this is something that you have to be ready for. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And one last thing about the trivium. On my Discord, we have a classical education study group channel that will be starting up shortly after this series is available on my member site. So if you are seeing this before it reaches YouTube, then I want to thank you for your support, and I want to invite you to our Trivium study group. This is something that I have put myself through. I put myself through the Trivium, and it was probably over 10 years ago that I learned this method, and it has benefited my life in so many amazing ways. I just want to say that having a firm grasp on the Trivium will equip you with a systematic approach to learning, as well as provide you with the mental training required to think clearly, independently, and effectively. Essentially, to think for yourself. A classically educated mind is afforded a different perspective across much more vast periods of time, and you can freely evaluate any idea or belief without feeling obligated to instantly believe something or reject something. A skill that is in desperate need of a revival today. There are many hidden gems in this study group that will help you gain new and valuable perspectives that will serve you well for your entire life. So I hope you consider joining this powerful study group. So now, here we will see that the trivium relates to these three rituals so that Heather can get past this glutton monster here. The first step of the trivium is known as grammatica or grammar. The trivium works in a way which is consistent with how the human intellect intuitively best learns in the first place. The steps of the trivium must be done in the correct order, or else it is corrupted and useless, and the same can be said about any magic spell, which may be completely spoiled if done improperly. In the trivium, grammatica or grammar refers to general grammar, or in other words, the distinct parts or facts about any given subject one wishes to learn about. It doesn't refer to learning the rules of any specific language. That is specific, that's special grammar. I'm talking about general grammar. So Heather must simply read the fairy tale and gather the facts of the story to complete the first step. That's the grammar. She remarks that some parts of the story are missing. So she must understand that she must bring all the segments of the story together in order to move past the glutton. The second page is obtained after Heather makes a ceremonial offering to the god of the order in preparation for its birth. This birthing of the god of the order is accomplished through the immolation of Alessa, which symbolizes death and rebirth, as well as ushering in a god born of suffering, which is presumed to feel the pain of humanity, causing this deity to bring forth a paradise earth for humanity, free from pain, disease, and death. The second step of the trivium is known as dialectica, or more commonly known as logic. After the facts have been gathered, then they must be arranged or put together in order to form a coherent body of knowledge, free from contradictions. In other words, being able to deduce from what are best believed to be the facts and the proper order of the facts, how do they fit together in a meaningful way, and then understanding what must be done or putting these facts that have been arranged properly into practice. In this case, it means Heather performs the ritual correctly. If she has done all of the grammar and has done her logic and has arranged everything correctly, then the ritual will be performed appropriately. Otherwise, it'll just fall apart. The third and final stage of the trivium is rhetorica, or simply rhetoric. Now, rhetoric's a nasty word these days, but it's only because it's completely abused by public figures, politicians, lawyers, and the like. But rhetoric is the art of using language to communicate persuasively in order to achieve a certain goal. This is exactly what Heather must do in the final ritual in order to banish the monster and move herself further along in the story. Rhetoric is a required step for any subject of study because the student or apprentice must demonstrate that they truly understand what they have learned. And the best way to prove one's understanding is by effectively teaching the subject to others or speaking about what it is that you've learned, not just taking a test. In order to truly know a subject, one must be able to properly teach it. The trivium is a process of the mind which constantly cycles and overlaps again and again. So once you've encapsulated in the process of rhetoric or teaching or speaking what you have learned, you are also reviewing simultaneously the logic and grammar of what it is that you're talking about. So this process begins again and again. And, the higher level, the rhetoric encapsulates the logic encapsulates the grammar, but they're all contained within each other as well. So this final phase of rhetoric, oration or enchantment, in the magical sense, meaning to sing or to evoke, infers a spell is cast out loud. It's the final test of one's understanding, in other words. The resulting success or failure is directly confirmed by the disappearance of the monster. So proof that Heather actually knows what she's talking about and has performed the ritual correctly, has gone through the steps of the trivium correctly. The proof of that, of course, is that the monster disappears. And this term, tu fui ego eris, of course, appears in all caps for emphasis. This is to be spoken. There's no doubt at all that Heather is involved, of course, in another dark set of rituals, which is completed in this specific part of the game by saying this phrase out loud. Rhetoric. A phrase which translates approximately to, "What you are, I was." There's little doubt that Heather has taken the unconscious role of a priestess of the order by her actions and words, unwittingly, of course. Glutton is a sin by which the piety of the priestess may vanquish according to the fairy tale.